Tonight, more unrest in Missouri. Violent protests have erupted for the fourth consecutive day. This is President Obama blast Missouri police for their use of, in his words, excessive force. What should police do to maintain order, and is it possible in that climate? And back here in New York, all is quiet as 6 lawmakers call for a federal investigation into the death of Eric Garner, who died after being put in an apparent chokehold by an NYPD officer. Why is Staten Island taking what seems to be a wait-and-see approach to the controversy, while Ferguson, Missouri erupts? Plus, New York and Philadelphia face off and roll out a game to try to win support to host the Democratic National Convention. Does Brooklyn have what it takes to pull it off? Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman, in tonight for Richard French. Thanks so much for joining us. Tonight we begin in Ferguson, Missouri, where the streets continue to ignite with protests following the police-related death of an unarmed black teenager. Authorities say some protesters threw Molotov cocktails at police, and the officers retaliated with tear gas and rubber bullets. Wednesday evening marked the 4th consecutive night of protests this week. Angry protesters set a gas station on fire, shot at a police helicopter, and there has been some looting of stores. The unrest comes after the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown, who police say was accused of stealing cigars. Brown's mother says her son has never been in any trouble with the law and did nothing wrong. The police chief says he believes Brown and an unidentified officer got into a fight. However, witnesses are painting a different picture of the story.
His face was swollen, so he'd obviously been hit or punched or something like that.
He tried to thrust his door open, but we were so close to it that it ricocheted off us and it bounced back to him. And I guess that, got him a little upset.
2 reporters covering the violence were arrested Wednesday evening. Ryan Riley of the Huffington Post and Wesley Lowry of the Washington Post were filing their reports from inside a local McDonald's when they were approached by an officer in riot gear.
Grab your stuff, let's go.
I'm working on it.
Stop videotaping, let's grab our stuff and go.
Right to videotape you, sir?
Hurry up, let's go.
Please don't leave her go to me.
Let's go.
You see me working. Please do not tell me not to use my
It's time to go, let's go.
Please not leave a gun.
We're down about 45 seconds, let's go.
Now, is the street, can I ask
Let's
you?
go, let's go.
I'm
We
trying to
don't have time to ask questions, let's go.
Close, can I move my car?
You can move your car if your car's out here, let's go.
It is, that's what I was asking. You didn't have time to answer that?
Let's go.
Just being mean.
Let's go.
I'm working on it, sir.
Let's go. There's a door over here. Let's go.
I'm gonna watch this.
Let's go. You can move. Let's go. Move.
Sir, please.
Let's move. Let's move.
Sir, you
Let's move this way. Here's the door. This way.
The St. Louis police chief says he disapproves of the way police are handling the rioting in Ferguson and will no longer send in his officers to assist. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon says the public will see a change in the police response in Ferguson. Tonight, local police officers are now going to sit this out as state troopers step in. This is after the governor spoke with President Obama on the phone. The president also spoke out against the violence from Martha's Vineyard.
There is never an excuse for violence against police or for those who would use this tragedy as a cover for vandalism or looting. There's also no excuse for police to use excessive force against peaceful protests. Reaction to the police use of force getting bipartisan reaction. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul spoke out to Time magazine saying the country must demilitarize the police. Paul said, if I had been told to get out of the street as a teenager, there would have been a distinct possibility that I might have smarted off, but I wouldn't have expected to be shot. Paul also said there should be a difference between police response and military response. And on the other side of the aisle, Democratic Senator from Massachusetts Elizabeth Warren on Twitter saying this is America, not a war zone. The people of Ferguson just want answers. We all want answers. Let's get into this now with our panel tonight. We're joined by C. Scott Vanderhoff. He is an attorney and the former 5-term Rockland County executive. Welcome back. Dominic Carter is here, political journalist and author. Also a fond return from Richard Brodsky, former New York Democratic State Assemblyman, now a senior fellow at Demos and a professor at NYU. And he is joined by Republican strategist Bill O'Reilly, who served as Rob Astorino's spokesman in his 2 successful runs for Westchester County Executive and is with the campaign as well. And let's start off with the source of a lot of the unrest from the protesters tonight, which is the fact that police have yet to identify the police officer who was involved in the shooting. And they still haven't. Even the governor today said he wasn't going to do that. Should that information come out? Should they give the name of the police officer involved?
eventually, but I wouldn't give it out now. I mean, there's riots in the street. Anything could happen to him. I think, yes, the name should be released, but I wouldn't do it now. I think that would be crazy. It's too volatile right now.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, the unfortunate part about it is Anonymous has already tried to create the name, okay, whether right or not. They've now focused on the chief and other members of the police department. They've put their children online. They've done everything else. I mean, they've gone beyond what should be done. And I think to calm things, it would do a lot, I think, to name the officer and protect him as you need to do.
There's no doubt about it. You cannot have two sets of rules. You can't have, okay, when there are incidents like this, we know everything about the person that's been shot and killed by police. We know how many times they've been arrested. We know if there's a drug conviction. We know if there's drugs in the system. But yet, we're not going to know anything about the police officer that did this. Missouri is a sunshine law state. They have laws where this information is supposed to be readily available on the police report to the public. You are making matters a million times worse. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game.
This isn't about the name alone. It's be a mistake to characterize that. Kid got shot. Mm-hmm. People want answers about that. They go well beyond what the name is. I think Dominic's right to say that the double standard issue raises its head, but this is a much bigger thing. Missouri was half part of the South, half part of the North. It has never really come to terms with race relations like other parts of the country. This is strangely like what I used to watch and participate in the 1960s. There's the same sense you get. That clip of the cop beating up on the reporter is the most damning thing so far, because that's an insight into what their mentality is, and if that's what they're doing to reporters, they're doing a hell of a lot worse to other people.
Well, I disagree entirely with that. I think that reporter was baiting that officer. He could have moved. This wasn't a waitress asking him to leave the room.
I know, what right do the cops have to tell someone to...
Law enforcement have a right to take care and make things peaceful, and they have a right to tell you to move if you're in a place that they don't think you should be.
On McDonald's?
Whether you're a reporter or not. He told him to get out at least 20 times.
They have no right to tell you to move from a place that they don't want you to be unless you're doing...
If they are securing the peace, they absolutely do. That's law
There
enforcement.
was never an allegation that reporter was doing anything to disturb the peace.
Not a question of allegation. He asked him to move. He's a law enforcement officer. You listen to law enforcement officers. He simply sat there and played with his camera.
No.
He should have moved at least 10 minutes earlier.
That's
The
factually
claim was
incorrect.
that the police could not provide safety to the area. It was an unsecured area, and so they were moving people out for their own safety.
And he said it 20 times. How many times do you have to say it to somebody?
I could not disagree more. When the cops are going about telling law-abiding citizens, move here, move there, when there is no imminent threat, and someone...
How do you know there was no imminent threat?
There's been no allegation.
How do you know that? We don't know that.
No one, including the police, have suggested that this guy was doing anything but moving people around.
Richard, you don't know that.
And
the police
there is
force,
every
when
reason
you are
to
in a
think
position
reporters,
anywhere in society and a police officer comes to you and says, please move, move, move,
reporters
move. It's not your job to try to figure out whether you're in danger or not.
Reporters have a right to witness public events.
They do not have a right to not abide by the law.
No one has suggested they were breaking any laws.
He should have moved.
That is not violating the law.
Well, once you get the order from the police officer, at that point,
you move.
You are required.
No. There are things a cop can't lawfully tell you to do.